We'll be starting off with ENT, which is your ear, nose, and throat, and this part will be covering the anatomy of the ear, the physiology of the ear, and the embryology of the ear. So, the basic anatomy of the ear is split into three parts: the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. The outer ear extends from the pinna until the outer layer of the tympanic membrane, which is over here. The middle ear extends from the internal side of the tympanic membrane until the inner ear, and the inner ear extends from the uh, oval window until the into the cochlea. Finally, cochlea and vestibuli are the components of the inner ear. The middle ear mainly consists the ear ossicles, which are your malleus, incus, and stapes. This is malleus, not malleus, incus, and stapes. And the external ear consists of the tympanic membrane, the external acoustic meatus, and the pinna. So some important landmarks on the pinna are your helix, your antihelix, your earlobe, and your scapha. These terms are used to locate any pathology which may present in the external ear. And now I'll be telling you about the important functions of each component of the ear. So the outer ear is basically for works as a funnel and resonating the sound. Helps in resonating the sound. So it does not do any kind of amplification. The main work it's going to do is resonance and make sure the outside sound resonates much better in this small space over here, and that causes this tympanic membrane to vibrate. The ear ossicles are attached to the tympanic membrane, and the main work of the middle ear, which consists of the ear ossicle, is transmission of this sound from the outer ear to the inner ear without any loss of sound quality. So how the main important thing you need to note how it's able to do is the surface area of the vibrating surface, that is the tympanic membrane, is 20 times the size of the ear ossicle attached to the uh, tympanic membrane. So it's a 20:1 ratio, which enables this ear ossicles to vibrate properly and transmit the noise to the inner ear. So the inner ear has two functions. One is creating nerve impulses based on the sound which is present outside and send it to the auditory cortex, and the second part would be to maintain equilibrium, basically balance. So the nerve impulse is carried out by the cochlea, which is this part, and the equilibrium part is taken over by this vestibular apparatus. Okay, these they are just main components, and they are further subdivided into other parts like your utricle, saccule, your scala vestibuli, scala tympani, your scala media, your Reisner's membrane. All those will be covered in detail when we go into the specific parts of the ear and the diseases associated with that. So moving on, physiology of hearing. So as I said before, any sound wave is funneled into the external acoustic meatus, and it's picked up by the tympanic membrane, and the ear ossicles being attached to the tympanic membrane start vibrating and send the vibration to the inner ear. So inner ear consists of three tubes kind of thing where the sound waves are going to pass, and when the sound waves are passing, what happens is this pressure bends the membrane of the cochlear duct and causes hair cells in the basilar membrane to vibrate. So this is going to cause a nerve impulse. This nerve impulse is taken from the cochlea to the auditory cortex through the cochlear nerve, and it has a pathway that is known as the auditory pathway. We'll be covering that in the following videos. So in essence, sound waves are focused into the pinna, and then they're focused by the pinna into the external auditory canal, and the tympanic membrane starts vibrating. The ear ossicles attached to the tympanic membrane uh, transmit this vibration through the oval window to the lymph of cochlea. This creates ripples in the basilar membrane, which will cause hair cells to bend, and this will cause nerve impulses to be produced, which is transmitted to the auditory center. So that would be your physiology of hearing. And that would cover the function of the parts of the ear as well. So external ear, middle ear, and inner ear. So if you are going to have any problem with the conduction, so this whole part is known as the conducting part, and this is sensory part. So conducting part is not going to cause great damage to hearing loss and can be rectified more easily compared to sensory part. Sensory part is very hard to detect, and you need various audiometry techniques to detect sensory defect and diagnose it and correct it. So that would be your mechanism of hearing. Finally, moving on to the embryology of ear. So the basic embryology is the nervous system, that is the vestibulocochlear nerve, and the cochlea and vestibular apparatus all develop from the aortic placode. And so see here, this is the aortic placode. So it bulges inside, and this is going to develop into the inner ear. Okay, so following that, your middle ear is being developed from the pharyngeal arch, and your outer ears will develop from the pharyngeal cleft. So this would be a very vague idea of that thing. The embryology would be covered more detailed when we go to the specific diseases. For example, the congenital diseases in the external ear. We need to know how the external ear develops so that we understand these diseases better. So I thought it would make sense when we cover those things over there. For now, you just know that the inner ear develops from the aortic placode, the middle ear from the pharyngeal arch, and the outer ear from the pharyngeal cleft. You can just pause the video at any point you want and look at the diagrams, and the diagrams themselves provide a lot of information. So that would be the anatomy, physiology, and embryology of the ear. uh, Please do like, share, and subscribe, and comment if you want us to cover any topic in specific.